And this will be your solution video for your homework 7, solving exponential equations. And so in our first problem on our homework, we see that we already have common bases. So we are just going to set our exponents equal to each other. And when we do that, notice we have 3, well, try to have 3. 3y minus 8 equals 13. We will add 8 over to the other side, so 3y equals 21, so y is 7. Moving on to our next problem. Again, you already have a common base, so we're going to set those exponents equal to each other. We need to subtract x over, and then we'll subtract over our 6, and so that's going to give us negative 18. We do need to divide both sides by 4, so x is going to give us negative 9 halves. Moving on to our next example, this is where we have more than one base, but we are multiplying, so we're going to add our exponents. I need to make that p minus 7 plus 2p plus 1, and that's going to be equal to 8p minus 36. And so combining our like terms, we have 3p minus 6 equals 8p minus 36. I'm going to subtract 8p over, so I have negative 5p equals negative 30. So p is positive 6. Over on our other example, again, we are adding these, and so we have a k squared, and it looks like that is probably going to set us up for factoring. We have 2k plus 5 on this other side, plus 3k minus 4. And so let's combine some things, and I'm going to rearrange over here so that it looks like our standard form. And then on this side, notice we're going to have 5k. And then we're going to have plus 1. Now moving everything over, getting ready for factoring, we have k squared minus 6k, and then plus 8 equals 0. And factoring this, it looks like it's going to be a negative 4, negative 2. And now setting each part equal to 0 and solving, we see that k is either going to be 4 or k is 2. Our next example, again, we have different bases, so we are going to have to change a couple of things here. So on the right side, we can make that 4 squared. So I have 4 raised to the 3w plus 7 equals 4 squared, and then times the 11 that's already there. So now I have 3w plus 7 equals 22. We do need to subtract 7 over, so 3w equals 15, and so w is 5. Okay, our next problem, we can change our bases, and I would change this all the way down to 2. So I know 8 is 2 to the 3rd times 9 minus 2x equals 2 to the 5th. That's raised to the 3 minus x. Okay, so we're ready to distribute and bring down our exponents. So we're going to have 27 minus 6x equals 15 minus 5x. I'm going to add my 5x over, so I have negative x equals, and if I subtract 27 over, that's going to give me negative 12. So x is positive, well, why I wrote, I don't know. So x is positive 12. All right, our next example, it looks like it would be good to move these bases to be 5. And I need to flip that over, so that looks like we're going to have 5 to the negative 1. And then that's raised to the u squared plus 8 equals 5 cubed, and that's going to be raised to the u squared minus 3. And so that u squared there, we might have a factoring situation. So we have negative u squared minus 8 equals 3u squared minus 9. And let's see, I'm going to subtract over to have negative 4u squared, and I need to add my 9 over, so that's going to give me plus 1, and all that equals 0. And so we can rearrange this if you want to and rewrite it, and it might be easier to see that that is the difference of two squares, writing it that way. And so we're going to have 1 minus 2u and 1 plus 2u. And setting each part equal to 0 and solving, notice we end up here, we have 1 equals 2u. So we have u is 1/2. And then over on this other side, 1 plus 2u equals 0. So 1 equals negative 2u. So here u is negative 1/2. All right, so moving on to number 8. We're going to make this a 3 to the negative 3, and that's raised to c plus 4. And then on this other side, I'm going to go ahead and add those exponents. So that's going to be 3 raised to the 4 plus c minus 9. So I have negative 3c minus 12 equals, and I'm going to go ahead and combine those. So that's going to give me c minus 5. So solving this equation, I have negative 4c equals, and I'm going to add over there, and it looks like we get 7. So c equals negative 7/4. Right, so for our next problem, we are going to change this down to a base 3. So this is going to be 3 squared, and I still have that raised to the negative 4a, equals, and then 3 to the 5th, and now we're going to go through and multiply that to our 2a plus 3. And so we're going to have negative 8a equals 10a plus 15. I'm going to subtract over my 10a, so I have negative 18a equals 15. So a is going to be negative 5/6. Okay, our next problem, we are going to change to a base of 4, or we can go all the way down to a base of 2, either one. If we choose 4, remember 4 squared is 16, and that's going to be times our m plus 1. And 4 cubed is 64 times that negative 3m. So we're going to have 2m plus 2 equals negative, that's going to be 9m. And since 9m's by itself on the right side, I'm going to move over my 2m. So that's going to give me negative 11m. And then divide by 11. So we have negative 2/11 is going to be what m is equal to. Okay, for the next problem, I'm going to go to a base of 6. And to flip this over, it's going to be raised to the negative 3. And that's going to be times the negative 2k that's there. And then this other side, we're going to raise that to the negative 2 and then multiply that to the k plus 2 that's already there. So we have 6k equals negative 2k minus 4. I'm going to move that 2k over and then divide by 8. So it looks like k is going to be negative 1/2. Right, moving on, it looks like 7 is going to be our base for this one, and it also looks like we might have a factoring problem. So 49, I'm going to replace that with 7 squared, and then I have 2x squared plus 3 equals, and then I'm replacing 343 with 7 cubed, and then I have x squared plus 5. So examining our exponents, we have 4x squared plus 6 equals 3x squared plus 15. And I'm going to subtract everything over, and so that's going to give me x squared minus 9 equals 0. So now we can factor. This is something squared minus something else squared. So x plus 3 times x minus 3 equals 0. And when we solve this, we have x is 3 or x is negative 3. And for our final problems here, again, more of the same, and we can move our base all the way down for this one to 2a2. And so here we're going to have 2 to the 4th times negative 3y. And then that whole thing is going to be times 2 to the negative 3. And then that's equal to 2 to the negative 5. And then that's raised to the 2y minus 3. Now looking at our exponents, from that first one we're going to have negative 12y. And then plus a negative 3, so minus 3, equals negative 10y plus 15. I'm going to add my 10y over, and then I'm going to go through and add my 3 over to the other side. And so it looks like y is 9. All right, so here we're going to break down 25. We're going to make that 5 squared. So that's going to be 5 squared times 7p minus 2 times, and that's going to be 5 to the 4th. And then that's also going to be raised to the 3 minus 2p. And then this is strange. They put a 1 here. Well, the only way I can get a 1 with a base of 5 is saying 5 to the 0 power. And so here we're going to go ahead and simplify this out. So we have 14p minus 4 plus 12 minus 8p, and all of that equals 0. So combining our like terms, we have 14 minus 8, so that's going to give me a 6p. Combining our numbers, we're going to have plus 8 equals 0, so we need to subtract our 8 over, divide by 6, and reduce, so it looks like we're going to have a negative 4/3. All right, moving on to our next example. Again, I would move this all the way down to a base of 3. And so when we do that, this first one, we're going to end up with 3 to the negative 4, and then that's raised to the 2w, times 3 to the 3rd, and that's going to be 81 to the 1/2. Now, we could really cheat here and say, well, 81 to the 1/2, I already know that's 9, and so I can change 9 to be 3 squared. That way we don't work with really big numbers here. So we're going to have negative 8w plus 3 equals 2. And I'm going to subtract that 3 over. And so w is going to be positive 1/8. All right, so let's go back here, number 16, our final question. And we're going to change all of these down to, we can make those 4. So for this one, we're going to have 4, it's going to stay like it is, to the a squared, equals 16 is 4 squared times 2a, and then times 4 cubed raised to the 2 minus a. So just looking at our exponents, we have a squared equals 4a plus 6 minus 3a. We do need to combine all of those a's on one side here, so that's going to give me a plus 6. Now we have a highest power as squared, so that means we need to move stuff over and factor. And so it looks like we're going to have a minus 3 times a plus 2. And setting each part equal to 0, we see we have a equals 3, and then a equals negative 2.